Could the Dallas Cowboys really pull off a smart, no-trade move by bringing back Odell Beckham Jr. and quietly turn themselves into legitimate Super Bowl contenders? On the surface, some fans see OBJ as a risky veteran move with questions about durability and consistency, but others believe this could be the perfect high-value signing, adding experience, playmaking, and another dangerous weapon for Dak Prescott without sacrificing draft picks or key players.
So why is this idea suddenly gaining momentum, and could Dallas really be building something bigger than people realize? Because if OBJ still has elite football left in him, the Cowboys' offense might become far more dangerous than anyone expected.
The Dallas Cowboys are being talked about differently right now, and that alone should make every fan pay attention. Because for the first time in a long time, the conversation around this team is not about whether they can score points. It is not about whether Dak Prescott can lead an offense. It is not even about whether the Cowboys have enough star power. The real conversation now is this: are the Cowboys finally built well enough to make a real Super Bowl run?
And believe it or not, there are people around the league starting to say yes.
One analyst flat out said he believes Dallas is a legitimate Super Bowl contender, not a playoff hopeful, not a dark horse, a real contender. And the reason he said it is because this offense already looks like a championship-level offense on paper. The only thing holding this team back last season was the defense not being able to finish games consistently.
That is why the Cowboys attacked the defensive side this offseason. They drafted defense early. They added depth. They made aggressive moves because internally they understand something very important. If this defense even becomes average to above average, this team instantly becomes dangerous.
And that is where everything starts with Dak Prescott. Love him or hate him, Dak is still the engine of this football team. His leadership matters. His decision-making matters. And if Dak plays at the level many people expect this year, the Cowboys are going to be one of the toughest teams in the NFC to deal with. People forget just how explosive this offense looked when healthy. They moved the football against everybody. They put pressure on defenses every single week.
And now there is a feeling around the league that Dallas may have somehow become even more dangerous.
But there is one major storyline hovering over this entire season: George Pickens.
Because while Cowboys fans are excited about the offense, there are real questions surrounding the franchise tag situation. Stephen A. Smith brought up something that honestly makes a lot of sense. Wide receivers around the league are getting massive long-term deals right now. We're talking about guaranteed money reaching over $100 million for elite playmakers. Meanwhile, George Pickens is playing on the franchise tag worth around $27 million. And that changes the mindset of a player.
Because football is violent. One injury changes everything. One bad hit can cost a player generational money. That is why Stephen A. said Jerry Jones may have made a mistake by not fully committing one way or the other. Either give Pickens the long-term deal or trade him and build around other pieces. Instead, Dallas chose the middle ground, and now everybody is wondering how that affects Pickens mentally throughout the season.
Will he play free and aggressive, or will business decisions start creeping into football decisions?
That question matters because the Cowboys need Pickens at his absolute best. This offense is built to attack vertically. It is built to stretch defenses, and Pickens gives Dallas something they desperately needed: a true outside threat who can win one-on-one down the field.
Now imagine pairing that with CeeDee Lamb continuing to dominate underneath and across the middle.
That is already scary. But then the conversation took another turn.
Because suddenly, Odell Beckham Jr.'s name started floating around again.
And this is where things get very interesting.
Reports are suggesting OBJ could still end up signing somewhere before training camp, and there are people around the league who believe Dallas makes perfect sense. Now, let's be clear here.
Nobody is talking about prime Odell Beckham from his Giants days. Nobody is expecting 1,500 yards and circus catches every Sunday. That is not the role.
The role would be something completely different.
Dallas would not need OBJ to be the superstar. They would need him to be the amplifier. Think about it. Defenses already have to worry about CeeDee Lamb. They already have to account for George Pickens deep. So what happens when you add a veteran route runner like Odell Beckham Jr. as a third option? Suddenly, defenses cannot relax anywhere on the field. OBJ becomes the matchup nightmare against third corners and backup safeties. He becomes the trusted veteran target on third down. He becomes the guy Dak Prescott looks for when plays break down late in games.
And honestly, that is what makes this possibility dangerous.
Because championship offenses are not just about having stars. They are about having layers. They are about having answers for every situation.
CeeDee Lamb gives you explosiveness and volume.
George Pickens gives you vertical pressure and physicality. Odell Beckham Jr. would give you experience, route precision, and playoff poise. That combination would instantly become one of the most talked about receiver groups in football. And the timing actually makes sense. Dallas knows the NFC is wide open right now. The Eagles are still dangerous, but there are questions. Jalen Hurts has to bounce back. There are rumors around roster changes. Other teams in the conference are talented but inconsistent, so the Cowboys understand this could be one of their best opportunities to make a deep playoff push. That is why people are starting to believe this front office might actually go all in. And when analysts started predicting Dallas's schedule, things got even crazier. One prediction had the Cowboys finishing 12-5 this season. 12 wins. Think about that for a second. The belief is that Dallas beats the Giants early while New York is still trying to figure things out. They split games with Philadelphia, they beat Washington at home, they handled teams like Arizona and Indianapolis. They even bounce back after difficult losses and show resilience that previous Cowboys teams sometimes lacked. And that is the biggest difference people are noticing. There is a growing belief that this roster is mentally tougher. Not perfect, not unstoppable, but tougher. Last season, when things went wrong, Dallas sometimes spiraled. One loss turned into frustration. One bad quarter turned into panic. But this year feels different because the roster feels deeper and more balanced. The offense can carry games. The defense might finally complement the offense. And Dak Prescott seems completely locked in. There are already whispers about Dak becoming an MVP candidate if this offense reaches its full potential. And honestly, it is not hard to see why. If Dallas wins 12 games and finishes near the top of the NFC, Dak will absolutely be in the MVP conversation. Especially if this offense becomes what people think it can become. And here is the scary part for the rest of the league. The Cowboys might not even be done adding pieces yet. That is why the Odell Beckham Jr. rumors matter. Even if OBJ is no longer a superstar, adding another experienced playmaker to an already explosive offense could push this unit over the top. Because playoff football changes everything. In January, defenses tighten up, windows get smaller. Every possession matters. And when that happens, teams need more than one weapon. They need multiple answers. They need versatility. They need depth. The Cowboys already have star power. Now they are chasing completeness. And if Jerry Jones truly believes this roster is one step away, making another aggressive move would not be shocking at all. That is what makes this season so fascinating. For years, people laughed at the Cowboys hype. Every offseason felt the same. Big expectations, big headlines, and then disappointment when the games mattered most. But now, the conversation feels different. because even critics are admitting this roster looks dangerous.
Not perfect.
Dangerous. And if the defense finally holds up its end of the bargain, the Cowboys are going to be a nightmare matchup for almost everybody in the NFC. So now the question becomes simple.
Should Jerry Jones go all in and bring in Odell Beckham Jr. to make this offense even more explosive? Should Dallas push all their chips to the center of the table while the championship window is open? Because if this offense reaches its ceiling, there are not many defenses in football capable of slowing it down.
And if Dak Prescott delivers the kind of season people are predicting, Cowboys fans might finally get the playoff run they have been waiting for.
But what do you think?
Should Dallas sign OBJ and create one of the most dangerous offenses in the NFL, or should they trust the roster they already have? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest Cowboys news and updates.